Alrighty, shout about. What have you done that's been daring, challenging, adventurous recently? Nothing. Good. 11. Well, I have. I've done something. I live an adventurous life. Adventurous is part of who I am. So that play a bigger game manifests itself in adventurous. So a few years ago, I decided that I would climb this mountain for my 40th birthday. All right, for my 50th birthday. Mount Kilimanjaro. Highest freestanding mountain in the world. Anybody climb Kili? Nobody. I'm going to tell you a story about climbing Kili and how that relates to leadership. And I tell this story in the United States sometimes. So I tell the whole story about climbing Kili, and people come up afterwards and they want to buy my book. And this is the American. Any Americans in here, by the way? This is the American psych, right? So they come up, they go, Kili. I go, yeah. They go, that's in Japan, right? I go, no, it's in Tanzania, in Africa. And this is the American psych. They say to me, are you sure? Like, I climbed the bloody thing, and they're asking, that's just America for you. You know, they just get so embedded in their own little world that when they believe something to be true, you can't question it. But I have 4 beautiful children. So on the left-hand side, that's Joshua, Olivia, Alexandra, and Kate. And one of my goals as a dad is to help them live an adventurous life, to take on challenges, to play a bigger game. And if you look at Livy's face, she doesn't look too excited about playing this one. She's the only one without a snowboard, by the way.
Sorry, where are you there?
We're in Austria. Yeah. And so I decided that I was going to climb Kili for my 50th birthday, right? And together I decided to take Joshua along with me. He just finished uni, had a bit of a gap year going on. So I said to Josh, I'm going to go and climb Kili for my 50th. If you want to come along. And so our goal was to stand in front of this sign for my 50th birthday. Because just like a typical Aussie guy, right? For your 21st, you have a barbecue in the backyard to celebrate, and you get a couple of kegs in and you drink them. They run out about 2 o'clock in the morning, so you scour the house for anything that you can drink, and drink way too much, wake up the next day with a hangover. And when you get a little bit older, you get to 30, you're a little bit more mature, so you grab a group of friends, you go out to a restaurant, you drink way too many bottles of red wine, have a fantastic meal, and wake up the next day with a hangover. You guys have been there, right? When you get to 40, you've started to pay off some of your debt and stuff, so you go, I'm going to do something fantastic. You fly up to Hamilton Island, you stay up to 3 o'clock in the morning drinking cocktails and wake up with a tattoo. No, hangover. And so 50's coming around, I'm going, I don't want to do that. I want to do something different. And so I decided that I wanted to go and climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And in that journey, together with Joshua, we got so many lessons in life, but we also got so many lessons in leadership. And we got those lessons in leadership from this guy. So this is Stephen Malaya. He was our guide. And from the moment we met him, I knew this guy was a leader. So it took us 33 hours to get to Moshi in Tanzania, the little town that sits on the plains at the bottom of Kili. And we knew that Stephen was going to meet us, and so we had all our gear with us. We're sitting in this little dark cafe, and in walks this guy, and he just stands in the doorway. He just had this presence. He looks around, and there's only 2 white guys in the room, so he's guessed that we must be the guys from Australia, right? So he comes over to us, and he did a leadership thing. He said to us, "Hi, are you guys climbing Killy?" And we've gone, yeah. I'm Rowdy, this is Josh. And this is what he said: "Are you excited about climbing the mountain?" We've gone, yeah. He said, "No, are you really excited?" We go, "Bloody oath, we can't wait." He's gone, "And are you motivated? Do you have the desire?" We've gone, "Absolutely. Absolutely. We've been working so hard at this. We're ready." He's gone, "Fantastic. People die." This is a true story. And this is a typical leadership thing, right? Because if he's a manager, what would he have done? He's gone, "Have you got your stuff? Let me see your stuff. I want to check your stuff to see if you're ready." But he did the aspirational thing, and then he gave us a reality check. He said to us, you need to know that 23 people died climbing this mountain last year. Hundreds were evacuated. We will have to find out if you've done the work. And if you've done the work and you do every single thing I ask you to do, there is a chance that you will get the opportunity to stand at the top of this mountain. But do not take this challenge lightly. It was a great conversation. It was the beginning of many great conversations. Because, I love it when I stumble across a leader. Because I don't think there are that many leaders in the world. Let's think right now. At your table, I want you to come up with 3 leaders in the world where you go, "I would hop in behind them. I would follow them to the end of the earth. I would back them to the hilt. They inspire me so much. What they're about and what they believe in, I'm just all over it. They're the bee's knees." Quickly have a chat at your table. Come up with 3. All righty. Shout them out nice and loud, nice and loud. Who are they? Who are the... did every table come up with 3? No. Doesn't that send you a message straight up that we couldn't come up with 3? Who did we come up with? Shout them out. Richie McCaw. Yeah. Most Australians wouldn't run with that, but I get it from a Kiwi perspective. Sorry? I still didn't get it. Richard Branson, yeah. And he's got the play thing going on too, right? Yep. Any more? Oprah Winfrey, yeah. Mandela. Yeah, he's not alive, but living leaders. Bill Gates. Yep. But Magda Zespinski. Donald Trump. Here's the reality, right? We struggle with that. We struggle, and if I asked you to name those people in your own community, you would struggle with it. The world needs more leaders. We need you to be leaders. And here's the truth. I've spoken to over 250,000 people around the world. I've set foot on all 7 continents exploring both leadership and culture. And I could count on one hand the amount of real leaders I've met. Most people aren't leaders, they're managers. And the difference is managers deal with stuff. Numbers, sales, people, logistics, what do you call it when you put stuff on shelves? Doesn't come to me. But anyway, they deal with stuff. Whereas leaders deal with vision, inspiration, motivation, all that sort of stuff. And I'm down to 30 minutes already. All that sort of stuff. And so I want to give you the key ideas about how do you step into leadership. And it's good that we've built this on the back of Play a Bigger Game, right? Because I'm telling you, none of you are playing as big a game as you could. None of you. And I don't care if you are the world champion. That, you know, there's more. There's so much more. You've got no idea. No idea. And you've got to step into it, right? And so I'm telling you that you're not leaders, but you can be leaders. It's a skill that can be learned. But just like playing a bigger game, you've got to step into it. Because if we talked about leaders, I would say they fall into 3 categories. Most of them fall, if they are a leader, they fall into the good category. Because to be good at leadership, you just need one thing, some skills. And we're going to talk about what are the 6 skills you need to be a good leader. But then we're going to go further up the mountain. We're going to talk about what does it take to be a great leader. And the difference is, to be great as a leader, it's no longer about skills. It's about your personal desire and how that manifests itself and shows up. And then to be remarkable, to be at the absolute top of the leadership game, you need to be authentic. So I'm going to walk you through that whole scenario. And so it's going to be a little bit different to the last presentation because I've just got 10 extra minutes. Is that right?
No, 60.
Oh, I've got 50 minutes. I was just about to cancel 90% of my presentation then. So let's talk about climbing your leadership mountain. Here are all the stages. You need to do the preparation stage. You need to get ready to go. You need to do the begin stage. You need to think about how do you get into it and how do you go about it. We're going to talk about all these. Then we'll go to base, which is about being good. We'll go through the transition stage, which is about being great. We'll go through the remarkable stage, which is about getting to the peak. But as a leader, it's just not getting to the peak that you've got to think about. You've got to think about how do I come down from those lofty heights? What happens when I get to the top? And then how do you recover? So that's the story that I would like to tell you in 2 different ways. So I'd like to tell you from my point of view, climbing Killy, and then tell you from here's the stuff you need to do point of view. So it's a little bit different to a normal presentation, but are you guys okay with that? Yep. So let's talk about the preparation stage. So there are 5 things that will stop you getting to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. The first one is having the right gear. If you're going to go and climb a mountain, you need mountain climbing gear. So we've turned up to climb the mountain, and there are other people turning up to climb the mountain. There was a group of nurses from Kenya, male nurses from Kenya. They were Americans in Kenya on volunteer basis, had 6 weeks off, decided to go and climb Kili, and they turned up in joggers. And our guide was only guiding myself and Joshua, but he was laughing. He's going, why do people not prepare for such a challenging thing? People die doing this. And I was going, I just can't believe it. He's gone, they've come here not to get to the top. They've decided to do something that they're not going to succeed at. That's just stupid, isn't it? So 5 things will stop you from getting to the top of Kili. having the right gear. Second one, being fit enough, doing the training. So I walked around the streets of Coolangatta with backpack on with bricks in it. Joshua did the same thing. Day after day after day, in all of our mountain climbing gear and boots, so that the shoes wore themselves in and stuff like that. And anybody here can climb Killy. Just got to be aware that there are 5 things that will stop you from getting there. The third thing is having the right guide. There are some guides who are absolutely don't care. They just want the money. They'll just go through the process. They'll go, joggers are okay. Our guide would not have let the nurses set foot on the mountain. He would have went, no, not doing it, not going there. He was the guide of the guides, this guy. And you'll hear more about him in a minute. The fourth thing that'll stop you getting to the top is altitude sickness. And people will say, oh, there's nothing you can do about it. You either get it or you don't. Well, I thought about that, right? So you get that my mindset is play a bigger game. So I'm thinking altitude sickness, and I'm doing all the research on it. And you can take a tablet to help you with that. But what it also does is buries the symptoms of having a brain hemorrhage. So I wasn't too keen on doing that. And then I discovered a place on the Gold Coast called ZUU, Z-U-U. And you can do altitude training there. That's this place, right? So you can train there at 3,000 metres. 8 minutes of training is like 45 minutes of normal training. So you do boxing training in there with this guy, funnily enough. And he's small, wiry and fast and really works you out. And he's pushing on you all the time and leaning on you. And 8 minutes after my first session, I was on the floor on my hands and knees. And it took me 20 minutes to get up. But doing the work, right? So altitude sickness. And then the fifth one is personal leadership. And this is probably true of anything you want to do. If you sit down and do the work, like leader of your family, leader of your business, leader in the community, if you want to be better at that, and somebody came to you and said, tell me what are the things you need to do to be a better dad, the leader of the family, a better mum, the leader of the family, a better leader in your business, a better leader in your role, a better leader of the ski team or the basketball team. Or if you had to write those down, what would they be? Could you share 3, 4, 5 definitive things? Because that's what the preparation's all about. Preparation's going, what do I need to be this? So we did that, and we had all the gear. And part of the preparation is you have to decide categorically what it is that you want to achieve. Anybody run a half marathon here? Have you guys run a full marathon? Yeah. I don't get the half marathon, and I'm not having a go at you. I just don't get it. Like, 11, that's all right. People hate it when I diss half marathons, but half marathons is a marketing plan for marathon organisers, right? Because they go, most people won't go the distance. So, let's invent a half marathon. And people get all pumped about going half the distance. Have anybody here had half a baby? Done half a degree? Climbed half a mountain? You get no recognition for any of that. Yet for some reason, we give people badges for running half the distance in a marathon. And here's what I can tell you. This is true, right? If you can run half a marathon, you can run a full marathon. Is that true? Absolutely. It's just stumbling the rest of the way. And so you've got to decide that you want to do it. You've got to put in the effort. You've got to do the work. Like, if you want to be an amazing, amazing leader and you decide that you want to do that, it's not going to come naturally, I'm telling you. Very few, like you named a few people who are natural-born, absolutely charismatic leaders. Bill Clinton was one. May not love him, but he was a natural, charismatic leader. They're few and far between. But most of us have to work at it. I have to work at it. You guys have to work at it. And the third thing is, you need to stick at it. I'm sick of this society where we throw the towel in way too early, you know. We go, I want something, and then we don't do the work to have it. Oh, it's funny, I was standing up there signing books, talking to people, and not somebody, but I reckon there were 3 conversations where people said, yeah, you're right, you know, I need to spend more time with my kids, or I need to do a little bit more of that, or I should. And I said to them, when? And the light never come on. Now! Like, we go, I've got to do something, and then we go, I'll find some time in the future to do it. That's not how it works. If you're getting business ideas here today, you've got to prioritise them and go, what am I doing now? Don't go back, whatever you do, don't go back to same old, ever. So if the highlight for you was, I need to spend more time with my kids, when you leave here at 5 o'clock this afternoon, go do that. If your thing is, I need to spend less time in the office, then Monday morning, don't go in. But whatever it is, do it. Stick at it, because most of us give up long before we should or we need to. This is us, ready to begin. And the thing about beginning anything, like, you'll get a whole heap of ideas about stuff you can do, places you can go, things that you can achieve, and they won't be big enough, but we'll continue that journey. But in the excitement sometimes we go too fast. And so Joshua and I are super excited about Climb and Killy. And on the first day, Stephen must have said to us the Swahili words, pole, pole, 100 times. And pole, pole means slowly, slowly. Because when you climb Killy, you go through, it's a slow, like, level start, and it doesn't feel challenging, and you want to go 1,000 miles an hour. But he knew that, you know, to go 5,895 metres was going to take a long time. And so people were running past us, and we wanted to keep up with them and go as fast as them. And he's going, Polly, Polly, just take it slowly. Just take it slowly. We'll get there. And there's 3 distinct terrains when you climb Killy. So there's this rainforest terrain that you go through on the first day. And when you get to that, you get to the end of that, there's a line drawn, and then it turns into heathland, where it goes from rainforest to low, scrubby heathland like you see in Scotland and stuff like that. And then the second day, it's like there's another line, and you go into this moonscape where it's just barren, and there's the rocks and dust, and then if you're lucky enough to go to the peak, you go into this, well, for us it was a snowy environment, you know, where the moonscape's now covered in snow and it looked completely different. And I think if you really want to be a remarkable leader, you need to be aware that there are 3 types of terrain that you need to go through. The first one of those is you need to get out in front. Sometimes as a leader, you just got to get out and go, I'm going to show you the way. We're going to do this, follow me. I'm the person leading the pack. You get in behind and let's go at this 1,000 miles an hour. The problem with leadership is I find that people only operate in one mode, and that's how they operate all the time. Whereas you guys, if you're going to be remarkable leaders, need to understand that you need to be able to operate in this mode sometimes and then switch to another mode and then switch to another mode, all in the matter of minutes. So this old one style of command and control leadership is gone. Sometimes you've got to get out in front. Sometimes you've just got to get in behind. Get in behind and say, you've got this. You'll be all right. You'll be okay. I've got your back. Let's do this. You'll be fine. And then the third one is sometimes you just need to walk beside people. Sometimes you need to get down, get dirty, get into the mud yourself and say, let's do this together. And remember that sometimes you have to do the exciting stuff together as well. So let's get into this together. Let's have fun. Let's play. Let's enjoy. Let's have a red hot go at this and enjoy the exercise. But if you can't shift between all three of those in 3 conversations, you'll never be a remarkable leader. Got to be able to change and go through the change in terrain. So we did all of that, and then we headed for base camp. So this is Josh and Stephen up at base camp, 2,720 metres. You see the word that sits beside the altitude? It says huts. Huts. So when Joshua and I were planning to climb Killy, I said to him, we're going to go this route, and the reason we're going to go this route is because we can stay in huts. He's gone, Dad, we can't stay in huts. We're going to stay in tents. It's not real mountain climbing if you stay in huts. And the huts are not huts, really. Like there's 2 beds on the floor and 2 beds above them. They're pretty antiquated, but nevertheless they're huts. And I said to him, Josh, here's how it works. I'm 50. Nobody ever asked you where you slept when you climbed Killy. They asked you, did you get to the top? How hard it was. But nobody says, how was the accommodation? Did they have a pool? Nobody has ever asked me that question, ever. Where did you stay? Because they all assume you stay in tents. Well, here's the good news, is if you really want to do it, you can stay in huts. And for us, getting to base camp was hard work. And we were lucky that we had Stephen there, because when we would eat this porridge thing, like a gruel, like ground up rats. Wasn't really, I know, but it didn't taste nice, didn't look nice. And so we got to the stage where we stopped eating it. And we were in the eating area one day, and Stephen walks in. Any time he walked into any area, everybody stopped. All the people, all the guides. He just had this presence, right? And so Joshua and I are sitting there, and we're munching on some cocoa and some weedy biscuits, but our porridge is sitting to the side untouched. And he just walks in this room, walks down to our table, looks us in the eyes, goes, eat. Didn't say another word, just looked at us, said, eat. And the whole room's watching us. And we're sort of looking like this, and so he said it again, eat! So we started to eat this porridge. And he didn't tell us till the next day that that's one of the things that stops people from getting to the top. They stop consuming this carbohydrate-rich porridge, and then when they start to get further up the mountain, they run out of energy. So it was like that gunfight at the OK Corral, when he come up to us like this cowboy going, eat dirt, boy. And so we did, and it was a good thing, because getting to base camp, we didn't understand the skills you needed, but this guy did. And getting to base camp, so getting to good as a leader, you're going to need 6 skills. First of those is you have to find a way to always be positive. And by that I don't mean, oh, isn't life wonderful? Did you see the butterflies and the unicorns this morning? Isn't it just so nice? That's not what I mean, right? Being always positive is just, you leave the past in the past. So you walk in, the computer system's died, the server's blown up, it's been hit by lightning, it's cactus, right? Move on. Get a new server, get it fixed. But some leaders go, can't believe that bloody server got hit by lightning 40 years ago. They're still dwelling on it, whining over it, carrying it into your day, into their day, and they wonder why people are not inspired, motivated, excited about doing their work. It's because as a leader, you keep bringing your shit into their space. Always positive is just a habit of going, what's done is done, let's find a way forward. The second thing we need to be able to do is we need to show people that we genuinely care. We know their names, we know their families, we know where they're going on holidays, we know which football team they follow, we know stuff about them and can talk to them about that. And it takes work. It takes work to remember this stuff and be able to do this stuff and apply this stuff. But people perform better if you go, what about those roosters on the weekend? Have that little chat. Takes you like 15 seconds to talk about how the Roosters are so good and they've already run a trophy in the year of the Rooster. Do you know which team I support? But then when you go, so let's get stuck into this, they go, yeah, let's get stuck into it. You know, because you know me as a human being, I will perform better for you. The third thing is you need to provide useful feedback. Most leaders provide feedback that's absolutely rubbish. You know, there's no thought gone into it, it has no direction, has no sense of purpose, doesn't build anybody up. Generally, it drags people down. Useful feedback is, you know what? You did a fantastic job of that. But what about the leader that does this, right? So you guys all just ran a big event, right? And it went gangbusters. And they stand in front of everybody and say, I just want to say thank you. How do you feel about that? That's not useful feedback. Useful feedback is going up and going, you know what you did when we were having that problem with the AV earlier? How you went up the back and sorted it out? They're the people I wanted. Look, she's smiling and feeling pumped up already. Make it personal, make it valuable. Let people know how they can grow. And then you've got to be able to motivate and inspire people. You've got to be able to get people excited about your hopes and dreams. How many people got staff? How many people would say your staff are as excited about achieving your goals as you are? There's some work to do. Here's something, I haven't done this before, but you, because we've got a small group and you seem like you're a bit of fun, I want you, as we go through these things, tick off the ones that you 100% absolutely sure. If Rowdy come around to your business and checked with the staff, they would go, yep, do that all the time. Tick those ones out, and we'll just see how we're travelling at the end of it. See how many people get 18. The fifth thing is, to be a really good leader, you need to be a great communicator. And so we talked about Mandela and Gates and Branson, and I talked about Clinton. There's a leader in the world right now who's not a particularly good communicator. And you see what happens when leaders are not good communicators? Things go to rubbish at 100 miles an hour. So how do you know if you're a really good communicator? Is your staff, if I was to ask your staff, they go, I know exactly what Rowdy expects of me. Exactly. And then the sixth and final thing to get you to Bootcamp is you need to find a way to positively challenge people. And Susan and I just did this morning, right? So we do this all the time. So it's lovely to have Suze come along and watch me present. It's been 4 years since she's seen me present, and so it's been really good to have her down here. But I said to her this morning when we were in the car on the way here, so when we debrief this, we're going to do two things. The first thing is we're going to go, what worked well? And we're going to talk about that all day Friday. What worked well? Every time we go to talk about the presentation, we're going to go, that worked well. That joke was good. Even that dad joke about Donald Trump, that worked well. See, worked twice. I told her it worked well. She didn't think it would. We'll talk about what worked well. And then on Monday, we'll talk about what could work better. But I want to sit down today and just bathe in what I did well. The positive challenge comes on Monday when we go, what could work better? Because you see how that's a positive conversation? If you go, what worked well and what went really bad, that's not a positive conversation. But on Monday when we go, what could have worked better, we're going to start talking about how it could work better, why it could work better. So there you go, there's your first 6 things. Let me tell you a story. So I normally run this as a leadership workshop over 4 days. So you're sort of getting 4 days of content. And so I just want to take the time to tell you one story about one of these things, right? And it's the art of being a great communicator. So you guys know that I'm an adventurer. I love to travel the world, challenging myself and experience different things. So a couple of years ago, I went to Antarctica. And I went across on this Russian freighter called the Ortelius. And we went across to Antarctica, climbed some mountains, camped out, and spent some time checking out the penguins and stuff. But we were at this base where there was a Pommy guy and an Australian guy. They're sort of stranded there on their own. And so if somebody turns up, they're pretty excited about it. So we're there and they're talking to us and stuff. And a little way away from the hut, there's some Russians out in the middle of the snow. And the Aussie guy looks up and goes ballistic. He goes, "What do you think you're doing? Are you crazy? Get out of there!" And the Pommy guy goes ballistic too. He goes, "Oh, chaps, you just shouldn't be in there." It's funny how Pommies don't get cranky right, you know. But anyway, the problem was that these Russians are in an area where there are crevasses that are hundreds and hundreds of foot deep, and they're just wandering around. But in the opening to the area, there's a fence, big white fence, and on the front of it is a red sign that says danger, and it's got a picture of the skull and crossbones, right? And so when they come back out of there, the Aussies going, "Are you mad? Are you crazy? You could have died. Didn't you see the sign?" And the Russian goes, "Yeah, we see the sign." He's going, "Well, why did you go in there?" He's going, "In Russia, we have this sign." He's going, "No kidding, buddy. What does it mean?" "In Russia, this sign means proceed with caution." But that was the truth of it, right? So in Russia, they don't pay attention to that sort of stuff. And so the communication was way off mark. And funny enough, you know who the people that visit there more often than any others? Russians. Got to get the communication right, or people die, right? This is the transition camp. So this is taking things to a whole new level. So this is the camp you go to before you start to head to the top. And you'll see we're now up at 3,780 metres. And from here you would normally go up and then come back. So you would go up to a bit over 4,000 metres and then come back so that you could acclimatise. But because we'd been doing so much work in an altitude chamber, our guide was the only guide who had one of these little clip-on things for your finger to test your blood oxygen levels. And if they get below 90, you have to do the acclimatisation day. He was checking ours every day and ours were still around 92, 93. So he said, you can do the acclimatisation day, but really it's a waste of time. It's a waste of a day. So we'll end up getting to the peak a day earlier, but there's no point in staying here. So we skipped a day and kept going. But here's what happens if you do get altitude sickness on Kili, by the way. This is how they get you out. No, he's alive, just, but he's alive. So they stick you in a wheelbarrow and they race you down the mountain to the elevation that they can get a helicopter in. So it's pretty scary when you're going up the mountain and one of these goes past you. And our guide was telling us that they used to actually do it in a real wheelbarrow. So they would just crumple you up, put you in a wheelbarrow and off down the mountain you go. But now they've got those fantastic stretchers. So if you had to have 6 things to get you as a leader to the transition point, not many leaders get to this point, but this is what you would need. You need a vision, but you need to be able to articulate it. You need to be able to tell your vision for your company, for your family, for your footy team or your netball team in a way that inspires other people to get engaged with it. You need to be able, this is going to sound stupid, right? I do this work with leaders all the time. I'm working with the CEO of the year at the moment. And one of the things they're struggling with is this. So I've told them, you've got to stand in front of the mirror and articulate this vision to yourself until such a time comes when it just rolls off your tongue. And people go, I know what this company's about. I know what you're about. I know what you want to achieve. It's so clear. but we don't. We sort of stumble through it and go, well, I went to business breakthrough and I'm thinking social media is the thing. Should probably get stuck into social media. That's not an articulated vision. Need to find a much better way to do it. You need to have a set of stated beliefs, and then you need to evidence those beliefs in your actions. You've seen that there's a meme on Facebook that says your beliefs don't make you a better person, your actions do. And I listen to leaders talk so much gobbledygook, like they stand. So be a speaker. I stand on stage after the CEO has just gone on with a whole heap of gobbledygook about, I believe the future of this company lies in there. And nobody believes it because he doesn't take action and provide evidence around it. So you need to be able to do that. You need to be crystal clear on what it is you're going to focus on. Everybody needs to know what it is. So I have a word of the year. Does everybody have a word of the year? Word of the year is a great way to get crystal clear focus. So I've had the year of yes, the year of no. Everybody hated the year of no because they go, do you want to play golf? I go, no. Convince me. Susan go, do you want to go to the Bahamas? No. I'll pay, I'm coming. Convince me. Convince me. So last year my word was contribute. And so, and I tell all of my team, I've got 30 staff, I tell all of my team, this is my focus, this is my word, this is why it's my word. And the reason it was my word is I wanted to step into the place where Rowdy contributed, gave something back. You know, and to be honest with you, Steve, I wouldn't have accepted this gig if I didn't have that word, because I would have had something else going on that was beyond contribute. But it was so good for me last year that for the first time ever, I've rolled a word from 1 year into the second year. So my word for the year is contribute again. It's a little bit different in the way that I execute on it, but when people understand what you're about, they're able to follow you better. You need to have a possibility mindset. So possibility mindset is seeing the good in what happens. You know, like, let me give you an example. You park somewhere and you get a parking ticket. You go, the bloody brown bombers. Why don't they get a real job? Bloody, I was only there for 5 minutes. You think they were hiding behind a telephone pole, I bet you. That's not leadership. Leadership is going, I've been parking there for 5 weeks. First time I've ever had a ticket. How good is that? No, it's seeing the good, the possibility in stuff. Not dragging it down and telling people what went wrong and why it didn't work and why it was a stupid idea. Well, maybe if we did this, if we looked at it this way, if we tried that, it's painting the possibility. And need to be clear on what your personal leadership is. So you saw me tell you in the last section, my personal leadership is in the ability to decide I'm going to do something and then letting nothing get in the way of me doing it. So if I'm working in an organisation, I've got to be really careful with that. Because if I go, we are going to double our sales this year, and that's my personal leadership, people go, it's game on. That's how Rowdy plays. So when you understand what your personal leadership is, you've got to be really careful about how you bring it to the team. Because when you bring it to the team, they're going to expect that to show up all the time. So if I said every idea out loud that I ever had, people go, oh, that's it, game on, that's what Rowdy wants to do, it's going to be bedlam. So I've got to be careful that I hold those ideas back and just share the ones that I want to do. So thinking about what's your personal thought leadership? Do you know how to execute? Do you know how to sell? Do you know how to develop ideas? Do you know how to innovate? Well, take a second. Why don't you write down, what is, if you had a personal thought leadership that you bring to your organisation, what would it be? Take a second and write that down. Awesome. Let's move on to the sixth one. So the sixth one is, you have to have self-drive. And you don't need, when I talk about self-drive, is you come here and somebody else gives you that self-drive, right? So, yesterday people giving you a reason to drive yourself forward. I've given you a reason to drive yourself forward. But if you're going to be a remarkable leader, then you need to have, nobody should ever tell you that you need to learn more, you need to do more, you need to expand and try things out. If somebody has to come up to you and go, listen, have you thought about developing this? You're just a manager. Because you should have already thought about it. It's having that desire to grow and develop and learn and discover. And be excited about the process. And again, just like in the last session, I could talk to you about all of these things for 4 days. In the last level, I told you the story about the Russians, so I've got another story to tell you about one of these. And so it's the one about stated beliefs that are evident in your actions, right? So I spent some time on the Serengeti with the Maasai warriors. The Maasai warriors have an unusual way of attracting a wife. Because what you need to do is you need to stand on the spot with your stick in your hand and jump into the air like that. And the guy who can jump the highest is the most attractive to the females in the tribe. It's a true story, right? Stated beliefs evident in their actions. So they invited me and Josh to have a go at this. Josh hadn't done too badly, actually. He'd probably get a wife. I've just managed to get off the ground barely. The guy at the back, right at the back, he's the head of the tribe, the chief. And he was head and shoulders above everybody else. We went for a wander with him later on. He said to me, Rowdy, if you live here, you'll be a very lonely man. Stated beliefs evident in your actions. The real excitement comes when you start heading towards the peak. So this is the place you get to at Killy before you go to the peak. So you arrive here, it's late in the afternoon, it's windy and blowy and cold. And you get to sleep in, it's what I imagine a prison camp to be like. It's pretty ordinary accommodation, but better than sleeping in a tent. You get to sleep in there for about 5 hours. They wake you up at 11 p.m. because the idea is that you get to the summit at sunrise. And so 11 p.m. they wake you up and you start the process of heading to the summit of Killy, which is just an amazing experience. And the night that we went to go to the summit, 63 people made the attempt. Only 9 people made it. Pretty incredible. And along the way, altitude sickness really starts to show up. So there are people vomiting up in the snow. We went past a girl who was delirious, taking off all her clothes because she thought she was on the beach somewhere. And Josh is saying to the guide who's moving a little bit quickly, he's going, Polly, Polly. Get to that stage where the climb is so steep that we've got walking poles and the altitude sickness is playing with your brain so badly that all you can do is put a pole out in front of you and then concentrate for the next minute on getting to the pole. Seriously, that's how tough it is. So you go like this, and you're seriously moving like this, but it's steep like that, right? So you're actually moving like this, but it's so hard and so difficult. And Josh actually become a little bit delirious, and I was starting to worry about him. And we went around a rocky outcrop, and his shoulder hit the rocky outcrop, and I just happened to be right behind him, and I put my hand up and caught his shoulder before he went over the edge of something, but it's pitch black and we couldn't see what it was. And we kept going on, and we got to see the sunrise at the top of Kilimanjaro, which is just an amazing experience. And you see there, it looks all snowy and cloudy, but about 3 minutes after that, the clouds opened up and the sun shone for about 7 minutes, which is the total time that you get to spend at the top of Kili. Josh actually didn't remember being at the top. This is a picture of him sitting on a rock. He is out of it. In fact, I was really worried about him at one stage. I thought maybe we shouldn't continue on. But I asked the guide, and he was the leader, the expert, and he said, no, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. It was that cold. I had a camel pack on, and it froze on my back. So I couldn't get any more water. And we wondered at that stage what we were going to do. And our guide pulls 2 bottles of water out from inside his jacket that he had beside his body to keep him. Pretty cool. Now, Steve will tell you this. I'm sure he's told you this, and heaps of people have told you this, right? Every opportunity is a marketing opportunity. So rolled up in my backpack, I had this little banner, and I also had a copy of the first edition of my book. These are our 2 guys, Stephen and Baraki. Every opportunity is a marketing opportunity. But if you really want to get to the top of your game, you need to do these 6 things, right? You need to build levels of trust that are just off the scale. And after I show you the 6 things, I'm going to share with you a story about building trust as a leader. You need to be vulnerable. I do a lot of work with the CEO of Australia's most successful bank. And I love that he does this. He does this so well. We sit in the boardroom and I get to sit on the sidelines and just tell people whether their egos are too big or they're not playing big enough, or I get to challenge them around a whole heap of things. It's the best gig ever. But I love the fact that he sits at the front of the table and people go, what are we going to do about this? And he goes, I don't know, what would you do? And he does it in such a lovely, genuine way that people respond, and you can see them, they thrive in the fact that he goes, I don't know. We might have to work this out together. I don't have all the answers. And I think ultimately as a leader, when you find the ability to be vulnerable and show who you really are, people respond to you differently. How you deal with failure is a critical part of remarkable leadership. So do you go into the office and slam the door and throw things up against the wall and have a complete shutdown, breakdown, hissy fit? Or do you cop it on the chin? Because people are watching you all the time, right? They're watching to see how you behave and how you react. And so how you deal with failure is how your team deals with failure. So if you go, damn it, I'm never doing that again, it didn't work, it wasn't a good idea, stuff it, I don't even want to be in business. People coming into work the next day going, damn it, I don't want to be here, I hate this job, I don't like the company, I don't want to be at work today. Because they watch how you deal with what's going wrong, and now it's okay for them to deal with it in the same way. 4th thing is you need to have an absolute clear identity of who you are. If you don't know who you are, how can everybody else know who you are? If you can't state what it is that inspires you, what it is that you want to achieve, what it is that you love to do and participate in, what you think about life, what your core beliefs are, nobody can follow you because they don't know what you stand for. The 5th thing is you need to leave a lasting impression. Like, how many leaders in your world, let's do this exercise. Write down the leaders in your life that have left a lasting impression with you, that you go, I'll never forget that. Write them down. I'm going to leave you to finish that list. I can tell you right now, the list is not long enough. There's not enough people in your world that left a lasting impression. And when I was running the hospitality company, I made a big speech to the staff at the beginning. I said, look, we're going to turn this business around. It's not going to be easy. We've got to make some decisions that are going to hurt, but we'll get through this. And so my promise to you is that I will be hard, really hard, but I will be fair. So 6 years later, when I had my send-off, staff come up to me and said, Rowdy, you are the hardest leader that I've ever worked for, ever. But you're fair. You treated all of us the same. There were no favourites. I've achieved my goal. That's exactly what I wanted to do. That's the lasting impression I wanted to create. And 6 years on, I'd created it to an absolute T. That's stepping into the void. And then the last thing is, you need to walk your talk. The world's full of leaders that talk a bigger game, that talk about possibilities, ideas, strategies, and then do nothing about it. In fact, let's do something about that right now. Stand up for me. Put your hands in the air. Wave your hands around like this. Put your finger and thumb together on your left hand. Keep waving your hands like this because it's cold in here. Wave them faster. Wave them faster. Can everybody see me? Wave them faster. Put your fingers on your chin. Have a look around at your table. Yeah, some people have got no idea what just happened, right? Sit down for me. So let me do a slow motion replay for you. So I went, put your fingers on your chin. And most of them put them on your cheek. Why? People will do what you do, not what you say. You can talk all you like about, this is what I want to achieve, this is where the business is going, this is what we are going to do, this is the position we will hold in this company. And then carry on like a dimwit. People go, they're a dimwit. You know, gotta walk the talk. But let me finish off by talking to you about trust. So I spent some time tracking gorillas in the jungles in Rwanda. Fantastic experience. And after I finished, I had a couple of days, so I said to my guide, Bagisha, I'd like to go and visit an orphanage and spend some time and, you know, see what I can do that can help out. He's got Rowdy, so we spent 4 days in the jungle. He said, Rowdy, I've got just the place for you. So he took us to this orphanage, the Streets of Life in Kigali. And he took me there because the orphanage is full of kids whose family were killed on the streets of Rwanda when 1 million people, were massacred with machetes, neighbour against neighbour, friend against friend, family against family, genocide of the worst type. And these kids were the grown-up leftovers of that. And they had this orphanage, and I got to meet the CEO. This guy's name's Rafiki. Told me the most amazing story about trust. Because I'm going wandering around this orphanage and the kids are polite and friendly and helpful and nice and the place is pristine. And I was commenting to him about how good it was. And he said, oh, Rowdy, it hadn't always been like this. The place was a disaster zone when I turned up. You know, there was graffiti everywhere, the doors were broken, people were stealing stuff, there was no discipline. The kids would come for 1 or 2 nights and then they'd go back onto the streets and hustle and steal. And he said it was just a disaster. And he said, I spent 4 years of my life trying to get it to be something. And he said, then at 3 o'clock one morning, it hit me. I realised what I needed to do. He said, I came into the orphanage the next day and I got all of the kids together. I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you guys to run the orphanage. And they laughed at him. He said, no, seriously, I want you to have elections, elect a committee. We'll have a director for discipline, a director for social activity, a director for grounds, a director for finances. I can't remember the rest, but 8 directors. And so they had the elections, and nobody took it seriously until one day his computer died. And so he's gone, I should do this the right way. So he called in the director for administration and the director for finance. Said, hey guys, my computer's died. I just want to get your okay to buy another one. And these kids said, we'll need to go and have a think about this. And he sort of said to himself, what? I can't run the orphanage without a computer. He's saying this to himself, right? He's going, anyway, I'll let them have their fun. So they went away, came back 2 hours later and said, we've got some bad news. He said, what do you mean? They're going, you can't have a new computer. And he said, I was on the verge of blowing up going, this is ridiculous. He thought, maybe I just need to hear the rest of the story. So he's gone, why can't I have a new computer? He said, because we've gone and met with the other directors and we've discovered that we only have enough food in the orphanage to last us 3 weeks. Until we have enough food in the orphanage to last us 6 weeks, you can't have a new computer, because having a sustainable food supply is more important to the kids in the orphanage than your computer is. And they walked out. And he sat there, tears running down his face, going, what I wanted to happen now exists. And to this day, those kids run this orphanage. So I said to Rafiki, they had a dormitory that was built, had beds, didn't have mattresses. I said, I'd like to help out. Maybe I could buy the mattresses. He's going, it's not my decision. You're going to have to meet with the directors. And so I did. I met with these directors and we had a chat about the priorities, and they were thinking that they needed a new lawnmower, and they went through some other things. And at the end of the day, they did decide that getting mattresses would be good, because they were sleeping 2 bed to people in the lower dormitory. And some people were just sleeping on the wire upstairs. So they're gone, yeah, we'll get mattresses. They wrote me the report on the expenditure, how much it cost, how many mattresses turned up. The staff in the orphanage, Rafiki and all his team, go away on a 4-day retreat. Nobody stays in the orphanage, it's just the kids. Nothing's locked anymore, no stealing, no discipline problems, no social problems. The kids stay and stay forever. Amazing what happens when trust turns up. A couple of things just to finish off. On the descent, on the way down, we came back past that rocky outcrop where Josh hit it with his shoulder and I grabbed him. On the way back down in the daylight, we could see that it was a 1,000-foot drop into the centre of the volcano, into the cone. It scared the bejesus out of me. On the descent, because it's one thing to desire I think if you plan for the descent, you rise higher, because you know how you're going to get down. Because most of us rise through leadership in our businesses, and then somebody gazumps us or something goes wrong, and we find ourselves back at the bottom before we know it. So being part of the descent is appreciating the journey, making sure that you don't go alone, and remembering to celebrate. Because I told you that one of the reasons I climbed Killy was to do something different for my 50th birthday, to be able to mark that milestone with something that was absolutely fantastic and glorious and unbelievable. And so we took 2 days coming down off the mountain, went to the nearest pub with all of the guides, drank as many Kilimanjaro beers as we possibly could, and woke up the next day with a hangover. Some things you can't possibly get away from, ladies and gentlemen. It's so fantastic talking to you today. I love the levels of engagement, interest. I hope you enjoyed the second presentation as much as you enjoyed the first presentation. I know, seriously, you can play so much bigger, and the world needs leaders. Do us all a favour and step into that space. Thank you very much for having me along.